Tell me about yourself. My name is Lucas Lamb, and I currently attend Temple University as an MIS major in the Fox School of Business. Right now, I work as a lab assistant for the CIS department at Temple University. However, outside this facade that I'm currently presenting myself as a Temple student, people who know me best say I'm dedicated, reserved, and mindful. Personally, I believe that all those traits are true, with the exception of being reserved, because I believe sometimes that I get really passionate about certain topics and subjects, and that just cancels out and negates the entire reserved part of what people say I'm supposed to be. For instance, back when I was in high school, I was really into understanding the U.S. municipal system and the courts, so basically U.S. law in general. So I got into a program called mock trial, which really tested my ability to speak, think, and really dedicate myself to a certain topic of a case, which would take intensive hours to complete and understand. Because every day after school, for at least 3 to 4 months in the fall in high school, I would spend 3 to 4 hours every day learning, understanding, and practicing for the case competition day, which would be at the very end of all the practicing I did, where high schools would be pit against each other, and they would just go to Florida if they won state and nationals, where you would just practice and learn being a lawyer or a mock lawyer anyway, presenting a mock case. And the whole experience for me actually was really fun. And that in itself, at least trying to be a mock lawyer and stuff, shows me to be more, at least I believe, to be non-reserved, because I'm really putting myself out there for the most part, instead of like being reserved in the sense that I just stay in one place at a time. So this takes us to the second question. Tell me about something significant you accomplished in your life. And for me, something I've really accomplished significantly in my life was winning the vice presidency for my residential student government body, my residence hall, in the fall of 2014. However, winning the vice presidency was just like the reward part of it, because I really took a step out of my comfort zone during time when I was campaigning for vice president. So this kind of goes back to like how it all started. So 2014, I was assigned to Temple University, of course, assigned me to dorm in the first week of moving in. The original student government body started posting flyers up saying that we need a staff for each resident student hall. And I got like really into this because they required that there be a running body staff, so there be positions like president, vice president, staff, treasurer, etc. And this really got me excited because I really wanted to be president at the time. But I thought about it a little before I actually started campaigning, and I was like, the workload of the president is kind of hard to do, and I didn't really too feel comfortable doing it, so I just opted for the best second thing, which was vice president, which was still actually a really nice job to have, and was really good. Like it was really good for resume, etc. And I really wanted to go for that reason. And not only that, the job itself was really interesting, because my job as vice president was to go around, talk to people, get to know what people wanted for events in the residence hall, and to also at the same time like inspect events, host events, and then attend those events, of course. But if I took the president's shoes, actually, which I found out once he got the job, was that he had to go to a lot of board meetings, which I wasn't required to go to because I was vice president. So I was taking care of all the fun stuff, while I was taking care of, or while the president was taking care of all the stuff that wasn't fun for the most part, or at least I don't find fun. But going back, really, the campaigning part of winning vice presidency, I would maybe consider more a significant accomplishment in my life rather than winning, because I really had to take a step out of my comfort zone at the time. When I entered college, I was really introverted. I didn't like to talk to people a lot. I found myself to be, I guess this is where the reserved part comes in, until, like I told you earlier about my passions and stuff. But going back to it, I was really hugely introverted, and the campaign was about 1 month. So I had to campaign for 1 month, and for that entire month, I spent a nerve-wracking part of my day, probably 2 to 3 hours campaigning, and I just went out and talked to as many people as I could, let them knew what I was about, what I was campaigning for, and for the most part, it seemed to work out generally well. I really faked it, my confidence, but this eventually became real confidence. So for that entire month, like I said, I was campaigning, meeting a lot of new people, maybe at least 100 or 200 people for the most part, and that really like helped me build my confidence and like really definitely, at least I believe anyway, changed me into like a better and different person, because now I feel like I can engage in conversation without stumbling, like using the words and as often as I used to from before. So when I look back now, that experience from this day, I have to say that that's definitely a significant accomplishment in my life. Not again, not because I won the vice presidency at the time, but the process, the campaigning process anyway, that got me there in the first place. And it really has made me a better speaker, because it took a lot for me to win that way. So this goes on to the last question. Tell me about something you learned in class. Well, to start off, I have to say, if anything, that I seriously enjoyed learning class and might use for the rest of my life would be the Wall Street Journal and Chapter 3 of Motivation. Since the first day, ever since Professor Bertucci talked about it for days on end regarding the Wall Street Journal in January, all he ever hammered about it was that for like the first week. And at first, I saw it as like a glorified version of CNN when I was thinking about it before I actually read it, of course. And nowadays, my favorite section of the Wall Street Journal currently is the tech section, because technology is something I've always had an interest in. And what's funny about it is that I was actually reading a good article from the section recently about Twitter, where they released a new app called Periscope, where it's a live streaming service where you would live stream yourself doing anything like cooking pasta and whatnot, and people can watch you cook pasta, and you can chat to your viewers while you're cooking pasta. So it's almost interactive in the sense that you're doing something that you like to do, probably if you enjoy cooking pasta, of course, and then you get to tell people about it, talk to them about it in real time, which is really unique and cool. So I like love reading articles about that in the Wall Street Journal. And then the last thing would be chapter 3. I've really picked up a lot about motivation, especially intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and the differences behind it, because from that, I've learned that I'm more of an intrinsic motivated person, due to the fact that I like doing things for myself that benefit like my inner me, rather than like earning good grades. Although of course I also enjoy that, but that's more of like external motivator. But I find myself to be more internal, because I enjoy doing my anything that involves like improving myself internally, of course. And with that difference said, I've been able to like figure out like what are the boundaries between like what really motivates me, and because I found out that internal motivation is more of what I tend to be motivated by, I've been lately trying to motivate myself more internally, to help kind of like just get myself going for the day for the most part, and I've really found that useful. So with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this interview as much as I did, and overall, I really did think I benefit something out of this.